Hi, fifth graders. I hope you enjoyed chapter 1 of Tuck After Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. Today I am going to read chapter 2. And so, at dawn, that day in the first week of August, May Tuck woke up and lay for a while beaming at the cobwebs on the ceiling. At last she said out loud, "The boys will be home tomorrow." May's husband, on his back beside her, did not stir. He was still asleep, and the melancholy creases that folded his daytime face were smoothed and slack. He snored gently, and for a moment the corners of his mouth turned upward in a smile. Tuck almost never smiled except in his sleep. May sat up in bed and looked at him tolerantly. "The boys will be home tomorrow," she said again, a little more loudly. Tuck twitched and the smile vanished. He opened his eyes. "Why'd you have to wake me up?" he sighed. "I was having that dream again, the good one, where we're all in heaven and never heard a tree gap." May sat there frowning, a great potato of a woman with a round, sensible face and calm brown eyes. "It's no use having that dream," she said. "Nothing's going to change." "You tell me that every day," said Tuck, turning away from her onto his side. "Anyways, I can't help what I dream." "Maybe not," said May, "but all the same, you should have got used to things by now." Tuck groaned. "I'm going back to sleep," he said. "Not me," said May. "I'm going to take the horse and go down to the woods to meet them." "Meet who?" "The boys, Tuck, our sons. I'm going down to meet them." "Better not do that," said Tuck. "I know," said May, "but I just can't wait to see 'em. Anyways, it's 10 years since I went to Tree Gap. No one'll remember me. I'll ride in at sunset and just to the woods. I won't go into the village, but even if someone did see me, they won't remember. They never did before now, did they?" "Suit yourself then," said Tuck into his pillow. "I'm going back to sleep." May Tuck climbed out of bed and began to dress. 3 petticoats, a rusty brown skirt with one enormous pocket, an old cotton jacket, and a knitted shawl that she pinned across her chest with a tarnished metal brooch. The sounds of her dressing were so familiar to Tuck that he could say, even without opening up his eyes, "You don't need that shawl in the middle of the summer." May ignored his observation, and instead she said, "Well, will you be all right? We won't be back till late tomorrow." Tuck rolled over and made a rueful face at her. "What in the world could possibly happen to me?" "That's so," said May. "I keep forgetting." "I don't," said Tuck. "Have a nice time." And in a moment, he was asleep again. May sat on the edge of the bed and pulled on a pair of short leather boots, so thin and soft with age, it was a wonder they held together. Then she stood and took from the washstand beside the bed a little square-shaped object, a music box painted with roses and lilies of the valley. It was the one pretty thing that she owned, and she never went anywhere without it. Her fingers strayed to the winding key on the bottom, but glancing at the sleeping Tuck, she shook her head, gave the little box a pat, and dropped it into her pocket. Then, last of all, she pulled down over her ears a blue straw hat with a drooping, exhausted brim. But before she put on the hat, she brushed her gray-brown hair and wound it into a bun at the back of her neck. She did this quickly and skillfully without a single glance in the mirror. May Tuck didn't need a mirror, though she had one propped up on the washstand. She knew very well what she would see in it. Her reflection had long since ceased to interest her, for May Tuck and her husband, and Miles and Jessie too, had all looked exactly the same for 87 years. Okay guys, so that was chapter 2, and you got to meet two very important characters. You got to meet May Tuck, and you got to meet Mr. Tuck. Just a quick glimpse of them, you'll get to know them a little bit better. Mr. Tuck will often be called just Tuck by his last name in this book. Okay guys, I will have a question for you on Google Forms tomorrow. I really enjoyed your thoughts and your answers to the question that I posed yesterday about why you thought that they had a little section of chapter 1 where they said nothing ever seems interesting to you when it's yours, only when it doesn't belong to you. And you guys had some really interesting thoughts. So if you haven't been able to check out other people's responses on the Google form, it is really an interesting thread, so take a look at it. Thank you for thinking about it. I really appreciate it. And I also really appreciate how you really formulated a sensible response and took care to use complete sentences with capital letters and punctuation marks. So thank you very much. All right guys, see you tomorrow.